Proverbs 31 woman. And
which is a lot.
it is a lot. And what that can teach us about how to get motivated when we just simply don't feel like doing what we have to do. Because like we all have so much to do, right? Every one of us.
Yeah, you have a lot to do, we have a lot to do, and sometimes you're just overwhelmed with so much to do. But then you look at Proverbs 31 and you realize we cannot get lazy.
No, she is not a lazy woman. If you take anything from that passage, it's like, wow, she's got a lot going on. She's getting it done and she's doing it well. And
yeah, so do we want to start by reading?
I think so.
Okay, so here is the epilogue, the wife of a noble character. A wife of noble character, who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Now I'm going to stop right there because I looked up how much a ruby is worth. Now, if you've ever gone ring shopping, which as a woman, I'm sure you have, because we all like jewelry. Like I love rings. That's one of my loves. And, you know, they vary in price. But when it says she is worth far more than rubies, you can spend up to or over $1 million on a ruby.
A 1 carat ruby.
Yeah, only a 1 carat ruby. So imagine that. A wife of noble character is worth far more than rubies. So you're more than $1 million, girl. Okay. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. Not some, all. Why don't you?
Sure. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand, she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. Whew!
Yeah, like that is some woman.
No kidding.
We would all love to be that woman. But here's a few things that we wrote down, just that woman is. She's very respectful. She's respectful of all other people.
And respected.
Yeah, and respected. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It means she's walking the talk.
Yeah.
She has a very strong work ethic. Like when it talks about making the garments, I'm going, oh boy, I'm really falling short there. I'm not a seamstress by any stretch of the imagination, but it means way more than that. So she brings honor to her husband. Her family is a priority. Her family comes first. She cares for the poor and the needy. Like she has compassion on others. She is wise. She doesn't live in fear. Like when it talked about that and the boat and all that stuff, it was like, we just had a storm the other night, and I know
my kids were scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the woman is not afraid of the storm.
No, in fact, further on it says she can laugh at the days to come. That's my favorite part of that verse, or of that passage,
yeah.
I mean. Yeah.
She doesn't live in fear. That's the big thing. She doesn't live in fear, and that means she doesn't live in fear of anything. Mm-hmm. She lives by her strong values. So she has strong values. When it talked about she bought a field, I went, how many of you have gone out and bought something without your husband? Maybe you've talked to your husband, but how many of you have actually done that?
Yeah.
You bought something and then you worked at it. Like, that's incredible.
It is, yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that passage means go do it behind your husband's back.
No, that isn't.
But like to work hard at something that is yours and to see the fruition and the fruitfulness of what you're doing, Like, how cool is that?
That's enjoying the fruit of your labor.
Yeah.
Like that is producing, what do we always say about mental wellness? We say you're able to be productive in society.
Yeah.
That's really what that is. But of all of those things, the biggest thing is that she has a heart for God.
Yeah.
Because that comes first.
Well, and you know what else I take from that too? That
Yeah.
she's using the gifts and skills that God has given her
Yeah.
to bless other people. Between her family, between her servants, between the elders at the city gate. Like, she's using who God has created her to be to further God's kingdom and to bless other people.
And that's our desire for you, to be able to go out and live a healthy lifestyle so that you can do what God is calling you to do, because you have the same gifts and talents that that woman has. He has provided and equipped you with everything you need to do your part where you live.
Exactly. So, what does that have to do with getting motivated and staying motivated? Well, when we started talking about this topic of like how to get motivated when you don't feel like it, right away I was like, we should talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, because she gets it done. Like,
yeah, she's not sitting on the couch like a couch potato watching Netflix.
And we live in this world right now. I was just talking to Ruth about it, where it's like there's this whole emphasis on rest. And I think that that's such a really good thing, because rest needs to be part of our life.
Especially in our busy world, in our busyness of life, because we all have this thing about we got to be busy, we got to be busy, got to be busy. But are we busy being of noble character?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I've watched all these videos where it's like rest isn't something that you need to earn. And I think there's some truth to that. But I also think, like, if you look at when God rested after creating the world, he didn't rest and then work. He worked and then rested. And so while rest isn't necessarily something that we have to earn, in a way it kind of is. Because we need to do the work that God has called us to do. We need to get up and go to work. We need to go to our job. We need to feed our families. We need to take care of the things that we are responsible for, like before we sit down and watch Netflix.
That's right.
Right? Like, and so we have to start getting motivated to do the things that we need to do, even when we don't feel like it. And so we have 5 tips for how to do that, because like we know it can feel so overwhelming sometimes to think about all the things we have to do.
Like just in the house. Think about that.
Yeah.
Like there's laundry, there's cooking, there's cleaning,
there's dishes.
And it never goes away. You know, maybe you're like me and you just clean the bathroom and then, you know, your husband goes in there and
there's
shaves
water splashed all over the counter.
He comes in from the shop, because my husband's a mechanic, and he's got dirty hands and it's just dirt everywhere, and it's just like, why didn't I just clean, right? But we have to keep doing it, because they have to keep doing what they have to keep doing, and we have to respect our husbands. And whereas I don't want him to not wash his hands, right? That would be pretty bad of me.
Yeah.
So there's all this
funny.
balance in life.
Yeah.
But just in a house, there's so much to do. There's organizing of closets. There's purging and getting rid of things, because we keep collecting and getting more. Wow, it's a big chore.
Yeah. Like, in fact, last night I was feeling very overwhelmed with all of the things that I have to do. And like, it is easy to get overwhelmed like that. And then we just kind of don't do anything.
Yeah,
because it's like, ugh. And especially with the household stuff, sometimes it's like, well, what's the point? And then we don't do it. And
and then we have so much to do, and
yeah,
it gets worse.
I know. And then we just make it even that much more overwhelming, because we let it pile up and pile up and pile up. And so, yeah, it's a whole thing, right? Learning how to prioritize the things that actually matter, and how to let go of some of the stuff that doesn't matter. Because we also live in this world where we act like we have to have picture perfect everything all the time. And we don't need that.
No.
Right? Like, we don't have to have the magazine worthy home. I don't.
No.
I don't. I really don't.
So we have these 5 tips for you, because we just talked about the house. Then there's all the other things, like getting ready for school. Those that have children, that maybe you're in school already, and in Canada, ours starts in another week. So there's all those things, and those are chores that have to be done. Like if you have to go and buy supplies, like some schools do it now for you, but
Yeah. But you still have to get the backpack and the
lunch, and
shoes
you got to
and
get back to preparing lunches again, and that is like that's a chore.
yeah.
If you like to make lunches, you could do a
You could have a
booming
booming
business.
business.
So yeah, there's so much to do. So we have these tips for you. And the first one, no matter what it is to break your tasks into smaller steps.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to clean the whole house, break it down. Like maybe you're going to start with the bathrooms, for instance, and maybe you have 3 bathrooms in your house. Well, start with one. Start with one and feel good about cleaning one.
Mm-hmm. Or even alternatively, you could do the bathrooms on one day, you could do the vacuuming the next day. Like you can break it into even smaller chunks like that too. Like there's lots of ways to break it down and still get done what needs to be done.
Or if you have to vacuum your house, figure out what you want to do first, because I know my little vacuum doesn't vacuum my whole house. I have to charge it in between. So what do I want to do first? And then what am I going to do when it's charging? Like you can organize, even if you're just organizing up in your mind, but you're dividing those larger tasks, like vacuuming the whole house. I don't like to do it at one time. So I'm glad that I have to have a break with my vacuum cleaner. I can get something else or just have a little whew, and feel good that I got half of it done.
Yeah. Another thing, this is the second tip, but that can help with some of those bigger tasks, is to set yourself a timer. You can tell yourself, we're kind of talking about cleaning, but this is relevant for lots of things. Like you could say, I'm going to set a timer for half hour and I am going to see how much I can get cleaned in half an hour. And then when the timer goes, take a break or give yourself a reward, which is the next one. So I'm just skipping ahead.
I'm going to say reward yourself. So it means creating a reward system. I'm going to say, if you're trying to lose weight, don't use food. Use something other than food.
Yeah.
But create a reward system, and it might be as simple as making a chart and making a tick on your calendar. Just like, yay, I did it.
Well, because even it's so funny how little notifications or badges or stickers even make us feel motivated. Yeah. I don't know if you use the YouVersion Bible app, but every time that you log in, it gives you another, like you're on a streak, right? And my phone even sends me notifications if I haven't logged on by a certain time that's like, don't lose your streak, or don't
forget.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much I'm like, oh, I don't want to lose my streak. And then I get on and do it. Or for kids, it's the same thing, right? Stickers. Maybe stickers for us as adults don't mean the same thing, but it's the same concept of that reward that it makes our brains go like, oh yeah, I want to get that done. And then it gives us that extra boost to go do it.
And for me, it's as simple as, hey, I'm going to do that half-hour work, set the timer. When it goes, I get to sit down and have a 15-minute coffee break because I love coffee. That's a reward for me. Yeah, so it can be that quick and that simple. It doesn't have to be anything big or fancy or costly.
No.
It can just be something that triggers your brain. You have a reward system in your brain, and it triggers that and helps to motivate you to keep going, and to keep doing.
Yeah, exactly. The fourth thing you can do is visualize the outcome. Like if you sit down and if you sit down and think about it, that's like taking a break. But if you think about how good you're going to feel when your house is cleaned and how nice it looks, and if you've got company coming over, how good you're going to feel about the fact that you got it done, visualize the outcome. And that can help you get motivated to go do it, because when all you think about is like, oh, I just have to clean and somebody's just going to come mess it up again and la 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 la.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very motivating. But
here's something else you can do. This isn't even that, but it's like visualize the outcome, but invite somebody over and that will really motivate you to get going. It's like, I don't want them to see that dirt. I don't want them to see that mess. But I know that what you just said, when I visualize, like if I'm purging my closet or something, or organizing my drawer, I feel so good when it's done. It's like, wow.
Well, and even just the mental load that you can check off when something is done, like visualizing how good you're going to feel when you don't have to think about that anymore. Like when you talk about purging, or I've been in the back to school mode with my kids, and it's like, okay, we need new clothes, we need new backpacks, we need this, we need that. And that takes up so much space in my head because it's something that has to get done. And I know it has to get done, and it has to get done by a certain day. And so when I think about getting it done and checked off, and I don't have to think about it anymore, whew, that feels good.
Well, you know what else it does? It's very good for your mental wellness because when you keep thinking about it and you're ruminating on you got to do this, you got to do this, that is very mentally fatiguing for your brain.
Yeah.
Your brain gets fatigued.
It does.
So you're really helping yourself and your well-being when you get motivated to do those things that you know you need to do.
Yeah.
The last tip that we have is to pair tasks with enjoyable activities. Like I know for me, when I'm in cleaning mode or I want to get a lot done, I put on some fast music. And so that really gets me energized and it helps me stay motivated for that time. The timer goes and it's like, whoa, already? It's really strange how pairing something with something else that is enjoyable helps to do it and makes it easier to get it done. Maybe you're doing something like dishes or laundry or whatever. Put on a podcast that's going to motivate you. Put on something positive. Put on, our channel.
Yeah. I like
That might
listening
help
to
you.
audiobooks too
Yeah.
while I do stuff. And your brain just gets carried away with the story, and you're not even thinking about the fact that you're doing something you didn't really feel like doing because you're just so engaged with the story.
That's
So
right.
you're right, so many things like that. And we have access to so many things like that today. All we have to do is take our phone and away you go. You've got a podcast or music, or like we have it handy with us anywhere we are, pretty much at all times these days. So
I know. So
yeah.
it's pretty easy to motivate yourself to keep going so that we don't quit because we don't want to get lazy. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking about this before. We still have to have that balance of rest because, rest is a big part of staying mentally well, staying healthy. But we don't want to become that couch potato either. We don't want to be the one where we're exactly the opposite of the Proverbs 31 woman. We want to be of noble character. We want to be using the gifts God has given us. And so whatever it is, whether you have chores, whether you have things that you're so busy in your church, in your community, in your neighborhood, or at work, or at home, we know that we need to still use these tips to get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's really everything we had to talk about today. We hope that Proverbs 31 is an encouragement to you that God did create you with special gifts and talents and abilities that He's asking you to go out and use. And so we got to learn how to manage all of the things that are going on in our life so that we can go do that.
I just love that you're worth more than rubies. I think that's a real good visual.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think with that, we just want to encourage you to go out, read Proverbs 31 today, and comment below what stands out to you. We're talking about the things that stand out to us, but what stands out to you in this passage?
Yeah, exactly.
And remember, you are a very beautiful woman chosen for greatness.
And we believe in you.